So, so first describe what you were thinking in the first part.
So in the first part, I was thinking that, well, when a gas is like at a higher temperature, I thought that everything would be like closer together,
Okay.
moving faster, but closer together, and that when it was a lower temperature, they spread out and they
Okay.
moved slower.
And so how did you show that in here?
I showed it by having I didn't draw the arrows, but I showed the higher temperature with more particles that were closer together, and then lower temperature with particles that were further apart.
Okay, and
Molecules.
fewer particles.
Yeah, and fewer, so they were further apart.
Okay, and so after, how did your ideas change after?
Oh, they literally flip-flopped. So
Okay.
everything when when we did the lab, I learned that when it's a higher temperature, everything is further apart and they move faster, so they hit each other harder. And that when it's a lower temperature, the molecules are closer together and they move a lot slower and they don't move as far.
Okay. And so, how did you indicate the amount of gas in the second time after we did the lab?
I tried to make sure that there was the same amount of particles this time.
Okay.
So, because when we learned that there's always the same amount of particles, whether it's expanding or not. So I just showed the same amount, but just further apart, trying to touch all the edges of the
Okay,
box.
so how did we maintain in the lab the same amount of particles?
By putting it in the flask, right? Because it was
Okay.
in the flask and it didn't change. We just heated it up and
Okay.
just expanded
But
into it.
could things move in and out of the flask?
Yeah, so we put the stopper on
Oh,
it
okay.
with
Okay.
the glass tube.
Okay, cool. And then, so just as you think about models, how did drawing this before and after help you to learn?
Oh, it helped me because it showed me that sometimes if you think that you know something, if you draw it out and you can see it and you can see what you thought before and then after, like now it helps me because now I remember, oh, when gases are hot, they expand and they fill a bigger space and they move more quickly. If I hadn't drawn it out, that's what I would have thought the whole time, whether or not we had written it down.
Okay.
It just helps me to visualize.
Okay, so the visual thinking at the beginning.
In the beginning, I was thinking that as the temperature lowers, so will the speed of the movement.
Mm-hmm. And did that change any at all after we did the lab?
No,
No.
not to me.
Okay, that's okay. And so, what about did the number of gas molecules in your model change before and after in this first one?
It was supposed to be the same amount of molecules,
Uh-huh.
but the way I drew it is less.
Okay, so you felt like in the beginning maybe you thought, what were you thinking about the size of the gas sample?
I think the volume or which it was, I think it was the same as the temperature lowered.
Okay. So did that change after?
It was the Charles Law. He's on TV. Okay.
Charles in Charge is on TV?
Yeah,
Oh no,
that was-
Charlie Brown is on TV.
Yeah. Okay. No, it's actually lower because we did the lab and the demonstration. The water entered the flask, which made the volume of the gas molecules actually smaller.
Okay. Did you change the number of gas molecules by doing that? Or did they take up less space?
They probably got like closer together, taking up less space.
Okay. So, what are your thoughts on using pictures like this to help you understand?
I think the pictures do help. It gives it a visual, because it's better to like see it and hear it than just to hear it and not understand like the concept.
Now, I had asked you to make this model without giving you a lot of parameters. Was that frustrating for you, or was that easy?
To me personally, it wasn't really frustrating.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe, because in the first one, I kind of was like maybe going off of what I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
or what I have like learned down the line, like in the past or something, and it just like came back, oh, maybe it's like this.
Okay, and then in the second one, did you feel more or less confident in the second one?
I was more confident in this one because I had like proof.